Peace, kings and queens, guys and goddesses. Of course, we're going to talk about it. I know we're going to talk about it. I do not believe in the idea of being fully healed. We are literally always healing. There is so much that we carry: generational trauma, childhood wounds, personal experiences, that the work truly never ends. Healing is a journey, not a destination. And honestly, I am speaking from personal experience. Because at one point, I did believe, honestly, that you're just healed. And no. Stuff just be emerging for me to process. More times than I would like, if I'm being honest with you. And I have been on this path for about 8 years now, ever since I had my first daughter. And I've gone through so many different versions of myself along the way. Every phase brought new lessons, new growth, and yes, new versions of heaven. The heaven that I was when I began is not the heaven that I am today. And I know that I will continue to evolve. The work don't stop. And I do it. And it's funny because I do remember at one point in my journey reconnecting with an old friend, and I told her, nothing that you have done has ever, been enough to ruin our friendship. But after reflecting, I realized what I meant to say was, the version of me, this heaven, doesn't feel that anything you did could have ruined our friendship. Because the past versions of me, I believe that many of you would agree that she was impulsive and angry and judgmental. And I'm sure that they landed differently with individuals. But even this heaven knows that even then I misspoke. Because things were done by that individual that absolutely impacted our friendship heavily. And they impacted me. And I too deserve acknowledgement. I too deserve accountability, along with changed behavior. And unfortunately, that is not something that I can receive from that individual. So inevitably, I did have to close that door in that chapter, or that cycle, whatever you want to call it. It's done. But that's okay. I don't know. I feel like people misinterpret what that means all the time. The love is still there. The relationship just can't continue. There's nothing wrong with that, guys. I've learned to acknowledge where I've went wrong. I've learned to apologize when necessary. So to anyone that I've hurt or crossed paths with in a way that felt wrong, I apologize, truly. My actions were a part of my process, but that does not excuse the impact. And I want people to understand that. I don't want to ever negate harm that I caused because of where I was in my journey. That's not accountability. And I appreciate every moment shared and every lesson learned and every experience I've ever had. I don't regret anything. There is literally no room for regret in my life. I have lived a beautiful life. Even my journey as a mother has shown me how healing is ongoing. For example, in trying to protect, in fighting to protect my daughter, I sometimes projected my own trauma unintentionally. I was fighting so hard for what I thought was best, but I wasn't always checking in with how I was feeling or how she was feeling, for that matter. And when it came to her father, I had to accept some hard truths. Not everything was my fault. Not everything is my fault. And that is really something that I had to sit with and just accept and process. I had to stop carrying guilt that was not mine. And I had to realize that I was holding space for a grown man who needed to take responsibility for himself, his actions, and how impactful they are. I can't change everything, guys. I can't carry everybody. I had to learn these things, though. I really did. Like, and these are hard lessons for me to learn. I will never negate that. Like, I offer so much grace now because I know how challenging it was for me to learn lessons. Like, and when you learn that, you are very mindful of the grace that you give and to yourself and to the world. Like, that's true healing. My job is to protect and guide my children, not carry everyone else's baggage to feed their ego. We're still healing from a lot, and we may be for a while, especially considering what our reality is at this point. But I accept that. I'm here to support all of my children every step of the way. And let's not forget, healing also includes childhood trauma, the stuff buried deep down, some things we've forgotten, denied, or suppressed will surface. And you can't really track it. It's spontaneous sometimes it's after something else has transpired, and I'm not sure if like the familiar feelings from a time in your past will bring up a suppressed memory. I'm honestly not really sure how the fuck it works. I'm not gonna hold y'all, but woo, you can be having the best day and suddenly, boom, a memory, a trigger, an emotion hits you like a wave. That's not regression, though. That's healing, calling you deeper. And you have to do the work. Healing is not linear. And as much as that's pushed as the perspective, especially when it's healing that avoids accountability. Individuals tend to get confused. You don't just become healed by screaming into a bucket. You don't just become healed by getting energy work done. You don't just become healed by visiting shamans and doing the ceremonies or the sermons. You don't just become healed by listening to vibrations and meditating. You don't just become healed because you journaled or cried or forgave someone. You can be thriving, doing very well, and still get hit with a wound that you didn't even know was there. Healing is very much so. Honestly, I haven't figured out the word yet, but when I get it, I'm gonna share it with y'all. But I need people to understand that it's not a setback. It's another opportunity to feel, process, and grow. And that's literally what we're supposed to be doing. We are not here to carry trauma for the rest of our lives. I promise y'all we're not. And grief plays a huge part in healing. And it doesn't wait for the right time. It can show up even on the happiest days. The difference is healing teaches us how to feel without falling apart. And oh my goodness, it gets heavy, guys. It is unbearable at times because I need you to think about if you suppress something traumatic that happened 13 years ago and you've done everything that you could to avoid it, to not think about it, and one day it just all comes up, and you have to think about it. You have to sit there and you have to process, through those emotions and everything that you felt, Everything that you want felt and suppressed, now you have to allow it to flow through so you can release it. That is challenging. Healing teaches us how to feel without falling apart, how to hold pain without letting it define us, how to allow joy and sadness to coexist without canceling out the other, how to fully release things that we are not meant to carry. This is lifelong work, and honestly, I am here for it. I'm here for it. If this resonates, I genuinely will be happy to share more examples. This reflection helped me realize how much I actually have released, and potentially how much there is still to release. Either way, I'm cool. And I hope that it brings somebody else clarity, peace, or even just a moment of stillness. Honestly, I'm hoping it brings you guys a moment of truth, because healing matters. We matters. The journey matters. Even in all this messiness, it absolutely 100% is worth it. But if we are pushing the narrative that healing is something that is not, and it's simple, and is a possibility for you to be fully healed in one lifetime, we are going the wrong direction. This shit is, y'all. One thing for sure and two things for certain. You ain't gonna ever meet nobody that's fully healed. Y'all do what y'all want with that information. I love y'all, and I'm gonna see y'all next time.